live. Okay. Not quite as optimal as I would like, but I don't know if I'll tell the joke or whatever end of the thing. Well, maybe it was. This should not be that long of a video. I did a video a couple days ago and nobody has watched it yet, but you shouldn't have to watch that one to appreciate or get something out of this one. It's still kind of a rebuttal to at least one of the same sources. There was another video I watched that was longer and a lot more, you know, the kind of usual bullet pointy thing. Some of them will help you more if you're later on in the journey than at the beginning of the journey, that kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. This one was 3 tips, a short video, and I'm going to do them out of order so that I can build to the more exciting one, I guess. So as I said in the thumbnail, but couldn't fit in the title, the second piece of advice was write small, meaning narrow, your focus, I guess. Obviously, this will depend upon your subject matter and your writing style. So again, kind of like that. But, you know, they were saying if, you know, your book isn't working, it might be because there's too big of a scope and you need to focus down, narrow, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. So I wasn't really going to rebut that so much, except that the next point tied into it was nothing works except what does, which was my point. Exactly. It depends on what the subject matter is and the style, if that's the correct advice or not. So he kind of rebutted himself for me before I could get to it, or get to this video anyway. But if you're not seeing that video, then you're seeing this video. And so maybe it's helpful without having to see that video because I'm already telling you what he told you, which was kind of what I was going to tell you anyway. And then, of course, there are rules to break that, you know, some famous authors or whatever have already broken rules and got away with it. And of course, that is different than just bad writing, right? We all had that guy in a class or that gal whose poetry we can still recall, even if it was just last Tuesday, where maybe just a little grammar would help clarify things. Let's just start with that. And so he was talking about percentages versus exceptions. Yes, again, you know, exceptions to the rule, fine. Like I said, not going to belabor the point. Either you think you're a good writer or you wonder if you're not. If you think you're a good writer, you're not watching this anyway, or you're going to post in the comments about how you know all this already, and I'm not teaching you anything. But these aren't meant to be bullet point instruction videos anyway. These are meant to be more of a discussion, which I've explained, and that I also think are applicable to screenwriters, which is why I include them in the other playlist, even though we're mostly talking about fiction and literature here. Now, the first tip that I'm finally getting around to, see, that wasn't even that long. We're only at like half the length of his video, and I'll probably go a little bit longer than his video because I do things like that, but we're chugging right along, and I don't have a ton more points, okay? His tip was, you know, write when happy, edit when sad. And of course, the words happy and sad weren't necessarily state of mind in terms of endorphins or euphoria so much as, you know, other conditions, as he pointed out, alertness, tiredness, this and that. And saying that when you're sad or less alert or less proactive, I don't know, maybe you would notice things that need to be fixed more because you would be irritated by them more than just enjoying your own journey reading your own writing, I should say. Possibly. But this reminded me, the reason I'm making this video, of a time, many long time years ago, when I was about 19, I was madly in love with this girl. And this this might be a slightly different version, okay. But similar idea. Old paintings that I did because I didn't have photos of them because we didn't have social media in those days, and I wanted to remember things. But the relevant thing was I was trying to write stories about the people I knew and trying to be the next Jack Kerouac and all that. And so they knew I had written about them, and they had read some of it and probably hated all of it. I don't know. But they thought I was legit. They thought I was, sincere. They thought I was talented enough, or at least they knew that the teachers knew that I was talented enough or whatever. And so one day, the girl in question asked me just abruptly, "Do you write better when you're happy or sad?" And I don't know if she was trying to find her own strategy for writing or if she was just curious because she knew I liked her. Don't know. And maybe she was just trying to make conversation to see if I was, a complete loon or had the talent that she thought I had or whatever. And I had to answer honestly, and this is still true. This is why it's a rebuttal to his video. And mind the collar gap. I'm sorry about that because I'm bouncing around too much. I told her I don't think I even really write that much when I'm happy because I'm too busy being happy doing whatever I was doing. And so, by the time I get back to actually writing and think, maybe not sad, but definitely more contemplative, more introspective, definitely a different frame of mind, or, maybe not a totally different mood, maybe not unhappy, but if I'm at a concert, I'm not jotting things down. If I'm, at the beach, maybe a little, maybe a, that seagull, I want to make a note to, write about that or something maybe, but like, I'm just I'm taking a hike. I'm body surfing. I'm talking about like I'm 19. I'm not, this active anymore that, that I'm at the beach all the time or whatever, like I was then. But yeah, like, and so again, let's redefine, I guess, happy and sad or whatever, because a lot of times I would get home from school and go straight to my typewriter before I did any kind of homework or any of that sort of thing. And I would kind of, what happened today that seemed significant, almost like a diary or a journal, but in more prose form, I guess, then, I definitely wasn't writing it for only myself, or at least I had hoped not at the time. Like I said, the whole Jack Kerouac thing, it's like, no, the world will want to hear all about this girl and her friend. and what we talked about on Thursday, after ceramics class or whatever. Again, maybe better picture. Just to show off the thing. And so, yeah, I mean, so I'm getting home, but I'm not necessarily in a bad mood. I'm not necessarily sad. So that part of his statement still kind of rings true. So will I be a better editor now if I'm old and grumpy? Maybe, I don't know, but you should still be able. I'm not in a bad mood right now either, So I guess I should just be writing now instead of trying to edit the thousands and thousands of pages I've already written. I don't know. So I'm only at like 2 minutes more than his video, so that's not too bad. Okay, so anyway, as usual, yes, please feel free to leave any questions in the comments. Like I said, this is not a terribly long or deep thing, so that's why I'm going to do this. It's not related directly at all. I just don't know where else to film this and put it. I saw some dumb cartoon that Mrs. Butterworth had her good name and her husband was clearly, I guess useless and wishing he had a better name to be the breadwinner for the family. If she wasn't married to Mr. Butterworth, then she would be Miss Butterworth, not Mrs. That's kind of how the marriage name works. So unless she's divorced or he's already dead, then she can be not married to him, but still have his name, but it's still his name. I prefer log cabin, but so yeah, I don't know who wins the syrup war this winter because I didn't eat much waffles or pancakes or French toast. The exception was back in the 80s or so, all the kind of single spinster teachers, they would say, I'm too mature to be called Miss, still called Miss, and I prefer Ms. And I just, as in miserable, I don't know. That's usually how you felt in the class, right? Maybe not always. Well, they were not always the worst teachers that you could hope for. I was thinking about the generic brands like Lady Lee or whatever. The neighbors would always replace our name brand stuff with that crap when they would borrow something from our pantry in the way back days, but that's not actually relevant to syrup or pancakes or writing advice, except, I don't know. Things were different at one time than I don't think I've had a neighbor borrow a cup of sugar in many decades anyway. Okay, so I'm just babbling for fun now because I'm stupid, but or I'm feeling silly, I guess. But that's my brief advice video for the day, and hopefully go back and watch that other one because I didn't talk for all those minutes to just totally talk to myself. And I think there's still some relevant stuff in it and the other things that nobody's really watched yet. Let me know.